Hey, everybody. Welcome to Moment of Clarity. Thanks for joining me. Please take a minute to make sure you're subscribed and to share this stream so we can bring on more people. Thanks for being here. Yeah, really appreciate it. This is kind of a crazy week for me. I am moving apartments on top of everything else. So I'm going to try and get you a few videos, but there might be fewer than normal. You know, the whole except sometimes. Well, this week might be some of those sometimes, because moving is just fucking hectic and annoying. But so yeah, that's that. Just want to let you know that. But a new government secrets came out. Will be, it's already up on YouTube. Will be up on the podcast platform soon. New episode of Common Censored. My other podcast will be out tomorrow. At some point. So still plenty of stuff to grab. New Redacted tonight, of course, on Friday. Anyway, let's go live here on Rockfin. Please also follow me on Rockfin if you have a second. Today, in a minute, I'll be talking to Kit Cabello about yet more YouTube censorship. It really is getting to a grand level that is really crushing people. And, it's just ridiculous. But we're going to get into that. I wanted to cover one quick news story just for a couple of minutes before we get started. I don't know if you heard about this, but let's see here. Oh, and by the way, actually, before I do that, all of the donations today, if you donate on the Super Chat, all of the donations, the proceeds will be going to you guys, to those of you who are in need out there. Feel free to email commoncensored@protonmail.com. We were able to help out a lot of people this past Sunday when we did the live stream. We're going to give more details about that on the next live stream. But anyway, so thank you guys for making that possible, for making it something. I mean, it is kind of a mutual aid amongst our community, and it's been amazing to see it working so far. So yeah, if you do donate, if not, if you're having a rough time, feel free to email commoncensored@protonmail.com. So I wanted to cover this story real quick before I bring on Kit. This is, unfortunately, I'm pulling up The Intercept. The Intercept has not been doing great on a lot of things, but this article seems okay. The entire staff of the Nevada Democratic Party quits after Democratic Socialist slate won every seat. The subtitle is "The Battle Between Insurgent Progressives in Nevada and the Harry Reid Machine Began Building in 2016." So literally the more leftist, more socialist members of the Democratic Party in Nevada won the top positions in an election, and the entire current sitting members all quit immediately rather than work with these Democratic Socialist members. To read a bit here, not long after Judith Whitmer won her election on Saturday to become chair of the Nevada Democratic Party, she got an email from the party's executive director, Alana Mounts. The message from Mounts began with a note of congratulations before getting to her main point. She was quitting. So was every other employee, and so were all the consultants, and the staff would be taking severance checks with them. On top of that, down here, the establishment had prepared for the loss, having recently moved $450,000, almost $500,000, out of the party's coffers and into the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee's account. The DSCC will put the money towards the 2020 reelection bid of Senator Catherine Cortez Masto, a vulnerable first-term Democrat. So there you have it. The progressives won in Nevada. That contingent, it says, started growing strength during Bernie's 2016 win. They kept growing. As you recall, there was a huge fight in Nevada between the Bernie Sanders contingent and the kind of corporate shitheads and within the party. And that fight continued for the past 4 years. But apparently the left-wing progressive members, I don't know how, I haven't studied each member, so I don't know how progressive they are, but hopefully pretty progressive. They won the positions Republicans in a fair election, and the result was not unity. The result was not the current sitting Democratic hacks, helping them in the transition. The result was all of those hacks quittings in sync and simultaneously, and taking most of the money out of the bank account for the Democratic leadership and putting it in a separate bank account that these new elected officials would not have access to. So they took $500,000 and ran. And this goes to show what I've said many times, which is the Democratic Party would rather lose to right-wingers than lose to real progressives. Because there's basically one party in our Congress, in our government, and in much of state governments. It is the corporate party. It is Democrats and Republicans together fighting for Wall Street, fighting for war, fighting for profit over people, fighting to crush you and me at every turn. And that is both parties, with a tiny little exception, about a 5% or maybe less exception, which is actual left-wing Democrats that have not been co-opted by the system. There aren't many of them, and even the ones that do exist will do shitty things sometimes, but they are kind of the other party. So if you were to really break down our government system, like if you were to really look at Congress in this way, 95% of them are one party, and 5% or 2% or something are a separate party. And yet again, we see that the Democratic establishment, the Democratic corporate hacks, would rather fucking run away with their money than actually work with progressives in power, than actually say, hey, listen, this is all the Democratic Party. We're all working towards the same thing, so let's do it together. We get that we lost to you in this little election, but we're going to work with you to achieve what the Democratic Party wants to achieve. No, they don't do that. The reason they don't do that is because they don't actually fucking want to achieve what the Democratic Party says they want to achieve. Okay, they say they support workers. They say they support the environment. They say they support the poor. They say they want to help things. They say sometimes that they want peace in the world. They say that they want coordination and cooperation amongst our fellow humans. They say these things. It's all garbage, and they would rather run away with $500,000. And that's exactly what we just saw in Nevada. All right, Nevada. Sorry. I always get that one wrong. Okay, so with that being said, let's go to a separate story, although it's related because it's the same liberal fucking dickheads who are behind the oppression, the censorship, mostly, not all, not entirely, but mostly. So yes, I have on Kid Cabello, yet another YouTube creator. He does Hard Lens Media, and they have been removed from YouTube basically for now. And it really is yet another alternative voice being crushed by YouTube, being crushed by this new level of censorship. So let's talk to him.
All right.
Hello.
Hi. Thank you, Lee, for having me on your show. It's a real pleasure to be on this network. And more importantly, again, I'm a huge fan of what you do. Keep on speaking truth to power. And it's a real pleasure to actually talk about what happened to Hard Lens Media on March 4th.
Thank you. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, you guys have always been nice to me. You've had me on and to talk about my stuff. And so it's only right to return the favor when you guys are under attack. So let's start from the beginning. Hard Lens Media. How long has it been around? I know you guys are definitely growing on YouTube, especially the last few years. How long have you been around, and what did you, when you created it, what did you view as your mission?
Okay, Hard Lens Media started officially on April 1st of 2017. There's a lot of days in which we say we got started, but me and Daniel are basically choosing April Fool's Day of 2017 when we got started. We were on radio and television for a good part of 2017, 2018, uploading some content on YouTube here and there. 2019 is when we fully got involved into YouTube. And the whole idea of setting up Hard Lens Media was to inspire other people to get involved in politics, to set up their own independent media networks, to challenge the two-party system and the corporate media narrative. And look, we want to see this continue to gain ground and momentum. And, we were shadow banned on between March 2020 and September of 2020, where all of our content was demonetized and people were being unsubscribed from our channel. That's a different story altogether. But thankfully, after September, we kind of got our channel back. We were growing.
And you, in order, just to hold on one second, in order to get your channel back, you had to, appeal to YouTube, but also did you have to take certain content down, or how did that work?
What we did during that first shadow ban, not what we're dealing with now, is we set up a backup channel. We kept all of our content up. We just think we were just targeted because we were saying, I guess, I don't know, we're talking about certain whistleblowers. We were talking about individuals who... You
didn't say the name Assange, did you?
Oh, we said Julian Assange. We said Edward Snowden. We talked about that slime ball, Epstein. We talked about the corrupt Democrats, the corrupt Republicans, our corporate media, and that shadow ban really hurt us. But it's our viewers that got us back our channel. And since then, me and Daniel have been very paranoid how we title our videos, what we put on our thumbnails. We've been very careful. And that's why we set up our Rockfin channel to where we put our more controversial stories up, because the censorship is very real. It wasn't too long ago in January where some of our fellow colleagues, Graham Elwood, Nico House, the Convo Couch, and so many others were being censored, demonetized, suspended. And we became extra careful. We thought we were being okay. And look, I hate self-censoring myself.
Right, yeah. So just to pause on that for a second, that does, I completely understand why you did it, but that sucks to begin with. It sucks that YouTube has gotten creators to basically, I have to title my videos lighter than I used to. I can't say, can't use words like attack and destroy as much. And I don't, I could still be banned tomorrow. I'm not saying that has solved the problem, but it's sad that, like, even just in titles and in thumbnails and shit, people are having to, create with kid gloves on, as if our humanity isn't up against the wall right now and we've got to reveal the truth,
Well, since then, I mean, look, I hate it because that's not journalism. We're being censored, and especially here in the United States, where we pride ourselves on the First Amendment, freedom of speech. As journalists, we have to, if we want to reach out to people, like, hey, this is a story that's happening, we got to title it in the correct way. But now we got to tiptoe on eggshells and look at what they're doing to journalists. Look at what they're doing to independent media. We're all on the chopping block.
Yeah, absolutely. So now let's come up to this latest one. How did this actually come about? And did they, I've heard this from multiple people. Obviously Graham Elwood, who I co-host my podcast with, is trying to get his channel monetized again. They've had him demonetized for several weeks now. But yours is even beyond demonetization, right?
Well, here's our situation, and we found it very odd. I want to first explain what happened on March 4th, because this is when it happened. I was finishing up doing an interview with Susie Dawson, who is a co-founder of Panquake. It was around the time, once we finished doing this recorded interview,
just to let people know, I had Susie on before too, but Panquake is a Twitter competitor that is not even released yet. It's just announced that it's going, when it comes out, it'll be open source. It will not steal your data, all that shit. And Twitter has recently deleted all of their accounts. So anyway, you had her on, yeah.
Yeah, we had her on, and here's the thing. We didn't promote anything on our accounts that we were going to be interviewing her. It was a recorded interview, and when we got done, it was about a 30-minute long interview. Our editor, FaZe, informed me and Daniel that he can't upload it. We went to check, and our account was suspended. Now, to be very clear, again, anything that we have scheduled on our YouTube channel will show up, and we only have one video that did show up. We're still monetized for some reason, but YouTube is indicating that we broke a rule, that we did something wrong. Now, the video that they tagged us on is 2 months old. It's from January. And the video is about the inauguration. I want to be very clear as I read the statement. The video is titled, "Biden is in charge, Biden is president." Now, we all have our opinions about the Democratic and Republican Party, but the community guideline strike that we received, the top of the description is for denying the legitimacy of the election. And apparently YouTube's blind attack dog seemed to have went after us. Now, We never said that Biden was not the legitimate president. We never said that, there was some sort of fraudulent behavior. Now, do we need election integrity? The answer is yes. I mean, the United States doesn't have election integrity. We never have. But we never denied Biden being the 46th president of the United States. Then YouTube, and you can check this out on Twitter, YouTube then also said that we are scamming, doing deceptive practices. And if this is a direct challenge to you, Lee, you can look at all of our 4.5 years of content. Not once have we ever sold anything, scammed anyone, or did anything of the like. We have been on point and covering our stories, interviewing our guests, and we've never done anything like this. And this suspension has basically been a direct hit to the work that we do at our studio and so much more. We can't upload new content, and this is devastating for any YouTube content creator. And I'm very concerned about the future of Hard Lens Media on YouTube.
And so is there's some sort of appeal process? Is that right?
We are doing the appeal process, but here's the thing. YouTube needs to hire people, not robots, or trust in their algorithm. How many content creators, how many of our fellow colleagues are still waiting? Graham Elwood should not be waiting. All of his content has been on point, and he has an opinion, and he has all the right to share his opinion, just like any other independent media outlet, be they progressive or libertarian. I'm for freedom of speech. No one should be censored like this. We haven't heard anything from YouTube, but thankfully, you and so many other wonderful people have actually been retweeting at YouTube or calling them out. And we're asking people to, and I say this with a grain of salt, politely tell Team YouTube on Twitter to remove our suspension and strike. Because I know for one thing, even after that January interview or video that we covered on the inauguration, we've acknowledged that Biden is president. We've said that he is president. And yes, we're going to be critical of him. But we never denied it. YouTube has made a mistake, and they need to rectify it immediately.
Yeah, I mean, the tough thing is to really prove that this was a mistake and not a concerted effort by them, because all of the signs are pointing to this being some sort of concerted effort. I mean, between the attacks on Susie Dawson and Panquake and Ford Fisher, who doesn't even put any commentary in his stuff. He just films it and puts it out, and CNN uses his footage. I mean, a lot of the mainstream media uses his footage, but then YouTube comes after him to take it down or tears it down. I mean, it really has gotten to a ridiculous level. I know so many creators that just feel like they can't, that it's impossible to do anything on YouTube that's not just standard corporate fucking vapid drivel. We're all going to be making cat videos. They're just going to be dancing around the screen because that's all we're allowed to do soon. So I know you've been, it may be not enough, but I know you've been trying to build up alternative platforms. Have a lot of us. I have a Rockfin page. You have a Rockfin page if you want to tell people to go to that as well. But, I'm sure you would agree that it's not enough to just create a Rockfin page, because YouTube is so huge that, they take away your YouTube. It's starting from scratch. All the work's gone that you've put in,
Yeah. And look, again, I want to apologize in advance if I seem a little angry. I'm trying to calm down, because this is 4.5 years of work that me and Daniel put in. So much BS that we went through, being on radio, being on television, and stepping our foot into YouTube. It's difficult to start things from scratch all over again. And thankfully, we're not at that point. But if we get another suspension, that's 2 weeks we can't upload content. And the third time this happens, we're gone. We're Thanos snapped out. And the thing is, it's ever since January 6th, there's been this super fast rush to censor people. First, they went after conservatives. And look, I didn't like that Donald Trump was removed from Twitter. I mean, it's a dumb idea. You think him and his 75+ million volunteers and supporters will disappear overnight? The answer is no. And then what happened then? They went after progressives and independent journalists because people want to return back to the neoliberal normal. But yet it's this neoliberal normal that gave us Trump in the first place.
Yeah. And it, covering it up and continuing to behave the same way with this neoliberal garbage will create another Trump, or, a much worse Trump will bubble up in the years to come if they don't address the core causes of what is destroying so many lives in this country. So yeah, what's your plan from here?
Well, our plan is still to appeal this decision that YouTube has made. We want to remove the suspension. We've been trying very hard. Daniel has been working on the side to reach out to Team YouTube. But looks like we have to look at other platforms. And if that's the case, well, then that's the case. People will leave. Look, maybe this is a little bit off topic. And, please correct me if I'm wrong on this. But I remember a time when radio once used to be fun. It was a license to print money. Then came in the FCC and it just became bland, dull, boring. That's what's happening to YouTube. That's what's happening on Twitter and Facebook. And we're seeing, again, not just independent media, but let's look at that article from the New York Post about Hunter Biden, or that other article from the Gray Zone, where, again, Twitter and Facebook said, oh, no, these articles, they're not right. Anyone who's sharing them, this is misinformation. RT America is labeled, given a special treatment on Twitter. What is this world we're living in? Is Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube becoming publishers now? Because if that's the road they're going down, well, then this is a very interesting conversation to have with those large companies, which is why, again, the internet should be a public utility and why these social media platforms should be public utilities. So Hard Lens Media, we're not going anywhere. If we have to hit the reset button, so be it. But we did not break any rules or guidelines to YouTube. I like YouTube. I truly do. And I remember when it used to be fun and promote original content creators. I'm tired of seeing on the trending page CNN, Fox News, Jimmy Kimmel, and all these other late night comedy hosts that are now desperate for material because Trump is gone. Seeing their super fast rush for censorship, they have no material to work with now. Their ratings are going down. He was gold for them. And maybe he runs again in 2024. But I believe in freedom of speech and independent media. No one should be going through this. None of our fellow colleagues, and including no one who's conservative or libertarian. No one should go through this. So we're going to keep on pushing forward. Yes, we'll still have our YouTube channel, but we will look at other platforms too. We're on Rockfin. We're looking at a few others. I know me and Daniel will keep on pushing forward, but I guess we have no choice but to think of a scenario of, well, what if one day YouTube says goodbye to Hard Lens Media and to so many other independent journalists that are doing fantastic work?
Yeah, it really is, depressing, but we got to keep fighting. We got to keep putting the information out there. We've got to, as Bruce Lee said, be like water and go around the obstacles as best we can. I prefer to be like zombies. If you ever see like a group of zombies all running in one direction, the running zombies, not the slow zombies, the like training in the off season zombies. If you see them all running in one direction and something gets in their way, they just kind of funnel around it. So we got to be like that, going around the obstacles. Thank you for joining me. Don't worry about getting angry because this audience is used to some anger from me. So they like that. Real quick, how can people continue to follow you? Obviously, you can give out the YouTube channel, hoping it stays around as well.
Our YouTube channel is still up. You can check out all our content. It's Hard Lens Media, HardLensMedia, Hard Lens Media. We have our website, hardlensmedia.com. We're also on Rockfin, Hard Lens Media. We have our Twitter page, and pinned to our Twitter page is our appeal to YouTube saying, please, Team YouTube, YouTube creators, you made a mistake, remove our suspension. We ask people to politely retweet that. Now more than ever, we're not going to go away, and this is where you can find us. We're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, we're on Rockfin, and we may be going on other platforms too, but we're going to keep on fighting. And again, we have to support freedom of speech for everyone.
All right, Kit, I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you down the road.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, that was Kit Cabello, obviously, with Hard Lens Media. Check them out. But, as he was saying, and as you guys know, this is they are one of many that have seen this suppression, oppression, whether it's demonetizing, whether it's ridiculous strikes against channels claiming they had done something wrong, whether it's, making it difficult to upload. And then you have full-on attacks like they've done against Susie Dawson and Panquake. For those who hadn't heard me talk about Panquake before, I mentioned it for a second there in this episode, but it will be a competitor to Twitter that doesn't take your data, doesn't have advertisers, doesn't, only show you a tiny little filter verse of filter universe that of the things you supposedly like. So you're never introduced to anything that is slightly outside of your standard operating mental procedure. So many important things that Panquake, so many of the problems of Twitter, Panquake is meant to deal with and resolve and address. And of course, Twitter has seen that this is a problem, and they are fighting Panquake tooth and nail. And now, as we see, also YouTube is included in that fighting. And these big tech companies do talk. They coordinate these efforts to suppress and stop our, information, our channels from being active. We saw that with there were 800 pages on Facebook that were deleted on the same day. This is going on, a year, 2 years ago, but it included things like Police the Police, Free Thought Project, Anti-Media, Antiwar.com, and they all disappeared on one day. And many of the editors of those channels were also suspended or banned on Twitter simultaneously. So they couldn't tweet about how they had been banned on Facebook, meaning there was a coordinated attack between Facebook and Twitter. These big tech companies that control, 90 whatever % of the information online that we're taking in, they do talk and they do coordinate and they do conspire. So that's not a theory. This is proven that they go after the editors of these channels at the same time because they don't want those of us who have been banned or suppressed or stopped to create a ruckus on the other channels. So, as he was talking about, Panquake has their four Twitter accounts all suspended simultaneously. And then Susie tries to go on his show, Hardlands Media, and they can't get their video uploaded. So that seems very coordinated as well. But anyway, guys, if anyone donated, all of the proceeds are going to help out people in need. We give all the details about that on our weekend live stream, so keep an ear out for that. If you want to find out when those live streams are, they're usually Sunday at 7 p.m., but they move around a little. So you join our email list, text the word redacted to 33777. Also, if you want to support the podcast Common Censored, that's at liberapay.com/Lee Camp. That's liberapay.com/Lee Camp. We switched to that after Patreon completely fucked us, destroyed our membership just a week ago. So we've created that. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining. I do these every single weekday, except sometimes. And this week is one of those sometimes because I am moving apartments and it is fucking chaos and it's hard to get everything together. So we'll see. I should have at least, hopefully one more video for you this week. And of course, Redacted Tonight comes out on Friday. So you got that coming your way. That's at youtube.com/redacted tonight, but it's all at leecamp.com. Thank you so much for joining me and keep fighting.